Hey YouTube, Chico Chubby here with a review of the Power Ranger Super Megaforce Q Rex Megazord. So no, not the Q Rex from Time Force, this is the Q Rex from Super Megaforce, which is supposed to be the same Q Rex, I think, except maybe upgraded. I don't know, they never told us in the show because who needs backstory? So our Silver Ranger stuff is finally starting to trickle out into stores, and while I don't normally care about the box, I did want to show off the back Zord Builder portion, because it does show off some new toys that are on the horizon. We have the Ninja Storm Minizord, at least that's my guess on what it's going to be called, I'm not sure. But it's based off the Minizord from Ninja Storm. Shows his combination right there. The Wild Force one we know already. 2 of the 3 new cycles. Should be Overdrive and Jungle Fury on there. And then it shows off the Turbo Falcon Megazord, which is the Macalcan from Gokaiger, which is going to have its own Megazord mode, which is actually really cool. I really dig it, so we'll see how he turns out. He looks kind of plain in this picture, but hopefully he's got some stickers or something like that. But it shows off the ultimate Legendary Megazord combination. So that is pretty cool. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Q Rex Megazord. So before we take a look at this guy, included is a Dino Thunder Red Ranger key, which in essence is very stupid. In Gokaiger, GoZyuJin was formed with the powers of Dragon Ranger, which is MMPR Green, Armada Killer, which is Dino Thunder White, and Time Fire, which is the Time Force Quantum Ranger. So those 3 powers combined form GoZyuJin. GoZyuJin represents the power of Abba Ranger, Dino Thunder, while the GoZyuDrill represents Time Ranger, Time Force, and the Dinosaur mode GoZyu Rex is made with the powers of G Ranger, Mighty Morphin. So outside of that, it would have made a whole lot of sense to include one of those 3 guys. I get their whole thing with releasing the Red Rangers, but given how they're named it the Q Rex Megazord, and Quantum is red, he's not a Red Ranger per se, but he was in Forever Red, it's close enough. The fact that Quantum isn't included in this toy is kind of a letdown, considering it's what he uses to summon the thing in the show, in both shows, actually. So we get this, it's not too bad, it looks actually really cool, or as cool as these designs can be. Flip that open, you have the QR code there. I'm not going to bother doing the key scanner app since the Dino Thunder Ranger key pack will include a Red Ranger, and that should be coming out within a month or so, so I'm not going to bother with that. But I will go ahead and show it in the Legendary Morpher so we can hear the Dino Thunder sound. Absolutely thrilling, but at least the Ranger key does have a little bit of functionality in the robot, but we'll get to that shortly. So on to the toy. And here he is. It is worth noting that my GoZyuJin is in storage right now, so there will be no direct comparisons. I know Dawson showed a direct comparison in his. If I get it out of storage, I will add some photos to my blog, but for now, this is going to be a review strictly on the Q Rex Megazord and whether it is good or not. And I actually really do like it. The Q Rex mode here, the instructions call it the Dinosaur Rex mode, is actually kind of neat. It doesn't have any additional functionality or less functionality than GoZyuJin. You can actually get a little bit more movement in the head. Can this rotate? Does it have enough clearance? No, it doesn't seem to have enough clearance. But you do get a nice little head bend here because the GoZyuJin had a click here because of the spinning gimmick, and so you couldn't really get a whole lot of good neck movement there, but thankfully GoZyuJin or Q Rex here can do that. Now you can open his mouth either direction thanks to the transformation. Oh, just kind of cool. These are just simple rotations. Obviously, all of these are Zord Builder ports. One thing I do like is the tail back here. It looks a little bit weird at the joint right here. Just because of the way the Zord Builder ports are designed. But I like the fact that you can actually get quite a bit more clearance with it, and thanks to this joint for the arm, you can actually kind of position the tail in a lot of different ways, and thanks to the fact that this joint doesn't click like the Japanese ones do, you can actually get multiple different poses out of the tail, and that I do appreciate, because the tail was always my biggest drawback with GoZyuJin. In this mode anyway, for GoZyu Rex, that it kind of looked really strange to me. But that is fixed, I guess you can say. And I really like this mode. In fact, I'm probably going to display it in this mode. It was always my favorite of the 3 modes in Gokaiger, and it is here too. It's worth noting there are a lot of missing paint details. The anchor logo is right here. That is missing paint. The spines all along the back should be gold, and those are missing as well. But other than that, there really isn't a whole lot wrong with this mode. I really do like it. It does feature Zord Builder ports down here at the legs, so if you can find a bike or something you want to stick it to his leg, you can. There are also Zord Builder ports back here, 4 of them to be precise, so you can stick things back there as well. So all in all, it's a pretty neat little combination, and there is a female Zord Builder port right on the side there that you can utilize as well as down here on the lake. So lots of different things that you can do with this guy. And like I said, I just really like this mode, and the missing paint details are minor enough for me to not really care. And overall, I do like the way that it looks. So let's go ahead and transform it into the drill tank mode, as per the instructions. Now, GoZyuJin had this at a joint. Obviously, that's not the case here. These are just simply Zord Builder ports here. And that's actually all we're going to do for this portion right here. Not going to bother to remove this because we don't have to. And the way that I had it positioned in that, in the tail form, I think it's supposed to go like this. But like I mentioned before, if you flip it around, you have the joint right here to utilize in terms of posing. So I decided to flip it around. If you want to be official, it's probably like this. But like I said, I like the joint right there. So keep that how it is. These will pop right off. His head will pop off. Again, these are all Zord Builder ports. And flip his head around to utilize that female port up in his throat. And that will go just like that. The arms, I'm always kind of forgetting how these are supposed to go. It utilizes wheels. So it should be pretty simple, just like that, I do believe. Just like that, so you got that going on. And then we have the feet, which will straighten out and connect. You got female port, male port, male port, female port. Line those up, and those will connect right in there. And you have the drill tank mode. I was never a huge fan of this mode. This is the mode that's supposed to represent Time Force. The Dinosaur Rex mode is the mode that is modeled after G-Ranger. And so this one is modeled after Time Force. And I mean, Time Force never really had a drill. Mr. Collins' company had the Raime tank, which is kind of where I thought this drew inspiration from. But that seems like such a stretch that I didn't really know what Toei was thinking over there. But it's a cool little mode. It looks a little bit like a spaceship. Thanks to this joint not clicking, though, if you lift it up, it gets droopy, which is unfortunate for it. But if you keep it on a flat surface, it does look pretty okay. So I really do like it, and it rolls pretty nice as well. So how to get this to spin, you just stick the key in here. And that's it. I wish I was kidding. That's a thing. So that is that feature. Unfortunately, this does not split open, and we'll get to that toward the end. But in terms of differences between GoZyuDrill and this drill tank mode, nothing. A couple aesthetic differences based upon how this is put together. But outside of that, nothing. Sans the lack of a spring-loaded drilly gimmick. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and start the transformation to the Q Rex Megazord, which is called robot mode in the instructions. That will pop off. The legs will go back to where they were. just like so. Take off both of these arms for now. We'll worry about that later. Pop this off. This will be this arm right there. Get that in. This arm with the drill will go over here. Fold this down. Fold that up to reveal the head. Splay open his little horns. His arm will just open up. The Rex head will open up to reveal a hand. And then we flip him around. Now here's where things get a little bit tricky. The instructions totally bypass this part. Now with GoZyuJin, they kind of lined up on the back here and were pretty even with this little dial here. Unfortunately, the way that the ports are lined up on this US release, they're a little bit different. So to get as close to the Japanese as possible, you can put them up on these ports and then line them like this. That's not official given how they're rubbing up against this port and they're not actually completely flush. So that isn't official. That's kind of what I prefer to do, just based on aesthetics. Apparently, officially, you're supposed to put them on these bottom ports. And then from there, you can line them up like that. That is the supposed official way of doing it. But these ports are up here for a different combination, but you can utilize them. Alternatively, if you flip these ports in, you have a longer Zord Builder port here. Unfortunately, that still isn't long enough to make it not rub up against these bottom ports, but it does overall end up looking better than with the shorter Zord Builder ports. So for the sake of things, I'm just going to keep it like this. This is how I prefer it, but officially you're supposed to put them down there. So that being said, this mode is actually really cool. I've always really dug GoZyuJin's robot design. In fact, I've liked most of GoZyuJin's elements. I like the drill tank, even if it doesn't make sense. And it's cool. It doesn't have the arm twirling gimmick here, which is okay for me. The spinning Tyrannosaurus head didn't really do a whole lot for me in the show. But it's one of those things where the spinning drill gimmick being replaced by the Ranger key thing lacks a little bit, since it was actually a really cool feature in GoZyuJin. But of course, you can still take your Ranger key and still do that to it. But it's a thing, and like I said, this does not open up, unfortunately. We were pretty sure it was opening up because we thought we saw a split in the one in display on Toy Fair, but apparently we were either wrong or they removed that portion. So you can't do the trident mode or open it up and do the Dinobot-esque shield thing that GoZyuJin did. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Other than that, really the only thing that you're missing out on by not owning GoZyuJin is some paint detailings. That is really it. But at the core, this is a great representation of the robot and a nice solid Megazord figure. I've always liked this design, and the figure just really does work quite a bit. So I really do dig this mode. Now, of course, being Zord Builder, you can do some pretty crazy things. Of course, being a Tyrannosaurus robot, this is the first thing that popped into my head. A nice use of the MMPR Megazord with GoZyuJin's body as a base, since they have very similar head designs, probably on purpose. I really like the way that this ends up looking. It's kind of neat in a weird way. And of course, you can use anything from Megaforce, Samurai, and Super Samurai as well. But in terms of official combinations, this is actually a form that may or may not make it into Super Megaforce. It was used in Gokaiger at least once. It's not really all that thrilling. It's just taking the arms and putting it on the Legendary Megazord. But it's still a thing in a form nonetheless. If you want to make it cooler, you can fold that up, and now he's got a T-Rex arm. Just Megatroning it up. So overall, I actually really like the Q Rex. It's a release I was very much looking forward to, being such a fan of GoZyuJin, and adding Zord Builder ports to it, which is a functionality that I personally really enjoy messing with. really excited me, so I'm glad I was able to finally find this and pick it up. And I just really like it. In terms of the robot mode, you're not missing a whole lot. You're losing the drill functionality, and that's about it. And that really retains throughout the entire toy. Outside of some missing paint applications, the only feature this lacks is the drill spinning. So all in all, for the price difference, considering that this is quite a bit cheaper than trying to hunt down a GoZyuJin, which actually kind of ranges in price from anywhere between roughly this price to $80. It kind of depends on when and where you buy it. Since it's an older toy, you can only really find it on the aftermarket nowadays. It makes it worth it. And if you have a Zord Builder collection up to this point, then this is by far the definite way to go if you want a representation of this robot. If you're only looking for one singular robot, you might want to hunt down the Japanese version so you do get those features and a little bit more paint. But other than that, this is a great representation of the Q Rex Megazord, as they are calling it. And I really like the toy. It beats out the Legendary Megazord for me just because I love the Dinosaur mode, I like the robot mode, and the drill tank mode's kind of cool. I just really like having one core robot that can transform as opposed to the normal Megazord combination for this show. I don't know, it just really works for me, and it's always been one of my favorite robot designs. So thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one. Bye.